Hi, I love you both. Huge fan. Ask Jeff who you personally think is better, Bret or Shawn, and who you would have rather had a WrestleMania main event match with. So, man, this is an age old thing. Are you a Bret guy or a Shawn guy? We know that you have said many times you felt like you had your best match at In Your House #2 against Shawn Michaels. So, two-part question. Are you a Bret guy or a Shawn guy? And if you had to work a WrestleMania main event, is that a different answer? Who would you
Well,
rather take, Brad or Shawn?
I've said this multiple times, and look, I was always Brett had a unique, I'll call it, not just wrestling skill set, but aura about him. The hitman and everything he brought to the table with that persona, his persistent attitude, and kind of the rise up through the ranks that, he was. We talked about 80s characters. He was the Hart Foundation with Jimmy Hart and everything, but he's also second generation with his father. So absolutely no disrespect to Brett and his title reigns and everything he brought to the table. But I said it in my Hall of Fame speech. I think Shawn is one of those guys that is, the Michael Jordan of professional wrestling. And you kind of look at his body of work, his back-to-back years against Taker. Shawn is my height and Taker is 6'8", a huge man with incredible athletic ability, but their matches just off the charts. And then you take Shawn and Brett, Shawn and just fill in the blank over and over and over. Old Nate got hot at me saying, "I can't believe you said he was the Michael Jordan." Anyway, that's how I've always felt that Shawn could have a match with anybody and make their he rising tide. Just an incredible talent, and his promo skills when Shawn was dialed in, and I mean really dialed in. And I like him. Yes, he's a hell of a baby face when he wants to be, but a heel Shawn
Is
uh,
the best Shawn.
is really dialed in. You just because he's so damn good, you kind of gravitate for. I want to see him get his ass beat as far as drawing money and making money. But no, I've said it, and it's a no brainer. WrestleMania main event match, Shawn.
Wow. There you go. We're just going to get some people talking. I don't know how much of the current stuff we can talk about, but here's a great question. I'll let you answer it diplomatically as you may want to. Pip2323 says, any insights on AEW's future of running venues as far as new markets and size of venues? There's been a lot of discussion. I know that behind the scenes, Rafael Morphy's no longer there. We've got a new crew who's come in, and we've started to see some new exciting announcements. Can you give us a tease for anything that AEW might be working on in the future?
So what was the top of the question? Did you
Uh,
ask?
any insight on AEW's future of running venues as far as new markets and size of venues?
Look, this is not a check the box answer. This is the real deal. And you can talk to inside the wrestling business or outside the wrestling business. You're always looking for new venues that are opening that may be a pocket of in a community because Chicago. I mean, we're going to Highland Heights. That's in Cincinnati. That's not downtown Cincinnati, so it's right across the border in northern Kentucky. That is a new venue, Truist Arena. So we've got different markets coming up that we may not choose to say the NBA arena. You go to another arena. I mean, there's AEW, wrestling industry, music industry, all of that. We're always looking for the hot venue, and most of the time, the hot venues are the newer ones that are just opening. Or we just did one in Houston. What was that? Not Edinburgh. Yeah, maybe Edinburgh. That was a hell of a arena, and we did great business there. So I think in this day and age, you have to really focus on that building, that venue relationship, because the venue is not just basically a place that you back up to and roll your TV trucks in. They're your marketing partner in the city. The media relationships, the the how they're dialed into the DNA of the community, obviously parking and all the traditional stuff. So the insight is something that's really never changed. The cool part is there's so many more new arenas out there that just continue to open and open and open. We're going to London, Ontario, Canada. We're going to have a hell of a crowd up there. And, that isn't quote unquote a traditional regular TV wrestling market. And that's something that I think is a real upside. But then on the flip side of that, we just TD Garden, Boston. That's one of the nicest NBA arenas, hockey arenas in the country. And we did, pardon the pun, big business there.
Dan Potts has a similar question. Is there a stadium that hasn't hosted pro wrestling that you wish would? That's a fun one. You talked about how, that's always a part of the promoting business, always looking for new venues. Lots of big buildings have held wrestling events at this point, stadiums. Is there a stadium that, as a sports fan, you take a look at and say, man, how cool would that be with a wrestling ring right in the center of it?
Oh boy, Nashville is building one. Supposedly, Mania is going to be the very first event in there. I think Chicago is building a new stadium or something on the books. They're going to have big events. But, Dallas and Jerry World and SoFi.
Dallas had one. SoFi had
all
one.
these guys, Miami.
Atlanta hasn't yet, right? Have there been a big wrestling thing in the new Atlanta Falcon Stadium? I don't think so.
So WCW was the old, right? Because that's
they tore that down though.
So the new place. Okay. Here's where I was going with it. But see, they've done it before, but with today's production capabilities,
yes,
wouldn't it be cool to go to Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, a baseball? And I know
you're a baseball guy, yeah.
Just because you can create some really cool sight lines.
Yes.
And just have kind of a iconic field. And there's so many ways you can kind of build a set out. If you have the entrance from center field and do the long entrance there and put that ring essentially over second base and floor seats all around it. We did it in Houston a couple of years ago. So, you can really bring a cool vibe. But those historic, iconic baseball stadiums, I think have a real magic to it. That, I'll just say it. I know they've had wrestling at Wrigley, but man, wouldn't it be cool to have a big event there?